2,000 players, 1 player left standing. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Deadman Winter 2018 finale. Very dramatic week, and we have so much action to unfold tonight, but before we can get anywhere, let's take a look at what happened last time. We're joined by some familiar faces on stage and our amazing live audience. I'll be your host, Mod Archie. Join with me as my co-host and caster, Mod Aiza. We've got Revan casting again, and Ian. This is probably an appropriate time for me to introduce the players on stage. So first and foremost, guys, we have skill specs. Next to skill specs, we've got MMORPG. And lastly, we have Camp Q, the new kid on the block. And with that said, ladies and gentlemen, it's finally time to jump into the Deadman Autumn Finals.
It's another clan moving in as fast as they can into the final area of Balador. Oh, wow, these two clans are actually ganging up on the north and western one, people at Newgate.
So this clan is going to get caught out. You see from the west, barrages and chins being thrown, as well as from the south, the group to the northeast are just getting mopped.
Here we have 3 major clans we talked about before, 3 huge alliances. Everyone trying to stay out of combat at the same time. It looks like Lit, actually, to the northwest, have been completely cleared up almost.
Looks like Camp Q and the rest of Lit, they might get caught out towards the southeast.
I think Camp Q has just fallen.
Oh no, the first
it
to
seems
fall.
like he has just died the first on stage.
Curtis, though, getting sniped. He's down to 13 HP, eating up Bruce desperately. Only 15 people left to go. Can he stay alive long enough? And he's done it just about with 2 Bruce doses left.
There you go, the multi-area completely done with. Now moving on to the 1v1s.
Straight off the bat, really confident run now, 25 as well. He is destroying this guy for 48 KO. And that is the power of that Warhammer. No, he's down through the prayer as well, the VLS. Oh, he's going to smash him again, the 33. Not much you can do against that VLS. Great job by Jay, though, getting this far.
And
he must be proud.
His fight against Incel Man, going up against a
no way!
Swap over to the melee and just trying to catch his opponent off.
Oh, there it was! It's all for nothing. The redemption comes in, chance out of food, but no prayer right now. Oh, the 34! Wow. Beautiful! Zeros, catch the freeze, baby! He's doing the melee! That's not one! Trying his best he can to come back. 31, it's a great comeback. Now Gazing has got his special attack out. And there it is! He's got a slight chance now to come back. 60 hit points down. There's the vent, but he's still alive. That's all that matters right now. No spec left for either player. And there it is!
Oh, no!
33, so close!
There it is, guys. We have a winner. CPU Bolt has just won for Fools. Thanks so much, guys. That's going to conclude our Deadman Autumn Finals. We look forward to seeing you at the Deadman Winter Finals in December. Hey guys, and welcome back to Deadman Winter 2018 finale. It's going to be an incredible night. We have so much action to unfold, and we've got a great lineup on stage. We're back at ESL's beautiful studio in Leicester, joined by an even more beautiful audience. Give it up, guys. Thank you. I'll be your host, Mod Archie. Join with me as our 2 casters. We have Ben, Aiza, and Ian. How's it going, guys?
Very well, thank you. Thanks for asking. Very excited to be here, but obviously nervous at the same time to see all the action unpack and unfold throughout the day.
Yep.
Yeah, I love the Deadman Mode events. It's going to be the first Deadman Mode event that I've participated in, no longer being a Jagex employee. For those of you that might not be aware, I finished yesterday, so officially now just a normie. So
you're now Aiza TV instead of Jagex Aiza?
That's correct, yep.
There it is.
Still going to stay around in the scene as much as I can. I love RuneScape, I love Old School, and I love Deadman, so yeah.
Right, so Deadman, what an incredible tournament we have today. We have a new change unseen before. Top 128 is no longer that, it's now the top 256.
Yeah, definitely increases the chances of a lot of players to get into that final area and make it to the 1 versus 1s that everyone is really looking forward to. A lot of massive alliances we're going to talk about a bit later on as well. As always, we've got so much packed in tonight to feast our eyes on.
Yeah, we've got the PvP weapons, we've got some serious gear coming out, whips, barrows, the lot. Supply resource drops were at a reasonable price this tournament as well, I think. It looks like everybody, at least our guys on stage, are very well set up for this tournament.
Yeah, we've heard a lot of interesting stories about clans kind of like putting together their best players and just letting them go out and destroy everyone else that's willing to stay around or be in a pretty dangerous area. And that's due to the fact, obviously, as you say, yeah, supplies have been pretty low in terms of cost. Gear's been pretty much readily available, and a lot of increased drops around the around the tables across the entire game mode. So,
yeah, definitely. And another thing as well with Deadman mode, this week the players in this tournament actually had to start from level 3 from scratch with accelerated experience rates, with better drop rates that we just spoke about a second ago. And so they've had a week just to get this as strong as they can with their clan to feed certain members, get the best chance of winning this $20,000 grand prize. it's going to be really exciting, and they've been putting the work, putting the hours over this past week to try and get the best chance of overtaking all the way.
Yeah, for sure. And before we introduce these guys on the stage, Aiza, would you like to run through the tournament format for us?
Yeah, of course. So what we're going to be headed into very shortly is known as the Permadeath stage. When we're in this moment of the Deadman mode tournament, you only have one life. So if you do fall, you are unfortunately out of the tournament and you will not be able to log back in. We're going to have up to 2,000 people the server can hold. And once those guys are going to be forced to fight as time goes by, there's going to be 2 safe zones. One that's going to be within Falador, and the other that's going to be in Anakal, deep within the wilderness. And players are going to get split randomly between these 2 separate zones. So if there are large clans that have formed together, big alliances, their players are potentially going to be in 2 different locations, and they're going to have to worry about communicating to one another and who they're going to hit off across multiple areas of the game. As time goes by, the fog's going to enclose, covering the entire map, which means it's going to be very dangerous if they were to step outside of the safe areas. It's going to force people into fight. Eventually, we're going to get people being whittled down, the numbers are going to start dropping, and then we get to the final 256 players remaining. They're all going to get teleported into a new area. This is the 1v1 section of the tournament, where every player fights off against one other player, but it's one at a time, so no more multi-fights. That's a little bit different from the last tournament because it's normally 126 people.
128?
128, thank you. It's now 256, so there's a lot more people participating. We've got an extra round. They're going to fight through. We're going to try and catch as many of those fights as possible. I'm sure you can understand with 128 fights going off at once, it's pretty difficult to catch them all. However, when we do get down to the, I believe, the quarterfinal stage, we're actually going to be looking at each fight individually, so one at a time. Something that we only really did up until the semis. But seeing the success of PvP All-Stars that happened recently and how well that was in terms of viewing experience, decided to kind of like take that format and bring it into Deadman as well. So we're going to have a lot more close action, personal fights that we're going to be able to follow through rather than just having updates. You'll see them all on screen. And then as those whittle down, we're eventually going to get down to the final fight, at which point, whoever wins that is going to be declared the winner and take away the grand prize of $20,000. There's a few more details that we can talk about as the stream goes on, but in terms of like a general overview, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, thanks very much, Aiza. And speaking of that 20 grand prize pool, we have 2 players on stage who have won that. So I think it's time to finally introduce our players on stage. So, to our far right, we have Bodhi. Come on. Next to Bodhi, it's the previous Deadman winner, Fool's Justice. Following Justice, we have no stranger to Deadman, that's MMORPG. And coming off his All-Stars victory, 15-0, it's Manked Up Mage. So Manked, 3 weeks ago you were here going 15-0 for All-Stars, taking away 20 grand. How are you feeling?
More nervous than 3 weeks ago.
Yeah?
For some reason, I think everyone's going to snipe me and it's not going to end too well, but we'll see.
Now you have a really interesting strategy for the tournament. Many players go to the tournament and don't do any player killing. I have seen you taking the lives of many people this tournament. What's the strategy there?
The strategy is to have a good group of friends who are willing to help you and kind of feed you and get you out there PKing.
Right now you're not running this one solo, you're with a team and a clan, I think? What's going on?
I'm with ODB. We've allied again last tournament, went really well, so we're doing it again and hoping we can make a lot of our top tier PKs get to the 1v1s.
And if you do make it to the top 256, are you feeling confident you might win this?
Hopefully I've got this, yeah.
All right, well, best of luck to you, Mank. Thank you. Curtis, as I said, no stranger to Deadman. You've been on this stage so many times. Every time you come here, you do better than the last time. Are you looking to follow that trend this time?
Absolutely. I mean, last tournament, we did make it to the 1v1s for the 3rd time in a row. I hope to keep the trend for that this time as well, and hopefully not plank to an AGS like the last fight.
Can you talk to me a little bit about your strategy this tournament? I think you do the exact same thing every time.
Yeah, because I play quite a solo strategy, so the tactic that I do to rush range and then quest very early works well for me. Because by the time I get to melees, then I have piety. I can just one-tick flip that the entire time to gain basically max stats before I even come to the stage. Because I only play 6 days out of the 7, because I'm always attending this.
And are you streaming your final hour?
I will be streaming the final hour on a delay, probably both multi and the 1v1. So hopefully we can put out as much content as possible for the guys at home and do some nice 1v1 fights.
Beautiful. Worth mentioning as well, everybody should tune into multi-Twitch or check out the various streams. You don't just have to watch ours, of course. Thanks, Curtis. Fool's Justice, first time on stage, coming off the Deadman Autumn win. How are you feeling?
A bit nervous, to be honest. Yeah.
You don't have to be nervous. You're a winner here. You talked to me a little bit about what Fools does with the prize winnings, as they've won quite a few tournaments now. Could you go a little bit more in depth with that?
Well, this summer with the 20K, we are gonna rent a big house and have a in real life meeting. So like 70 of us gonna meet up.
I think it's amazing. He was saying the last time they won, I think 50 of them went on a cruise on a yacht somewhere. It's just an incredible community. So how are you feeling going into this tournament here?
We are gonna take it.
Yeah.
That's
No questions asked.
no, simple as that.
All right. Well, do you have anything you want to say back to your friends back in Finland?
Niko maksa velat.
All right. Cheers, Justice. Thank you. Bodhi, you're looking very impressive this tournament. You have some donations coming in from the viewers, but you've also worked really hard. I think you said you logged like 12 or 13 hours a day for this tournament. How are you feeling?
Well, now that I've got most of the best gear, I feel if I can get past this Permadeath stage, which with the 256 that go through, I have a higher chance than ever realistically. Hopefully if I get to the 1v1s, I can take the All-Stars practice and experience that I had, and hopefully take that further into the tournament than the last one that I played.
Mm-hmm. Now, you're used to streaming to thousands of people every day, and being on stage is no stranger to you. Do you think that'll actually pay to your advantage here?
Well, I'd like to say yes, but when I was on All-Stars, I did definitely feel like I'd stage fright, because I had a fight with Rixie for the semi-final position at the back, and I performed so much better in that back room than I did on the stage. Right now, I've been playing all day for about 6 or 7 hours, so I've calmed down a bit, quite relaxed. So I'm going to hope that I just perform at my peak on stage right now. So I'm going to say this time round, I should be a lot calmer than All-Stars.
Right, and we've seen you in previous tournaments run with a group of friends, but you've also just gone on an absolute solo terror, killing as many people as possible. What's the strategy today?
Right now, I feel because of the 1-2-5-6, I've got some of the best gear in the game. I'm probably at my peak in PK abilities because of the All-Stars practice. I feel this one, take it seriously. As much as I'd like to kill as many low levels in Lumbridge as possible, I have a Vesta longsword, which I have never used in my life, and it's very powerful. I'm going to hopefully hang on to it and take it all the way to the 1v1 fights. That's where I need to prove myself.
All right, well, best of luck to you, Bodhi. I'm going to head back to the casters on the sofas. All right, guys, we've heard from the players on stage. I'd now like to get your opinions. Out of the 4 on stage, who do you see lasting the longest?
Well, we do have a rather formidable lineup, I have to say. Some very strong contenders, very good PKers, all of them, actually. I think that's proven that they're worth over the time. Obviously, Fool's Justice winning Deadman, same as Manked, as well as All-Stars. Boaty, everyone knows Boaty at this point, and Curtis, well, he's played every single Deadman and been on stage. So rather than just repeat everything that we know about the players, how about I tell you who I think is going to win?
Yep.
And I'm going to have to say that aside from the fact that, Manked won All-Stars and he 15-0'd everyone, big deal, we're in Deadman now. It's a different environment. And the part that really matters is how well you can play as a team, especially when it comes down to those last few people remaining. They need to make sure the coordination is really good. And I think the best team that we have in the tournament this time round is actually probably Fools. They're a very close-knit community, as you can tell from what Justice said. The guys just want to spend their money on just meeting up and having a good time and really just extending that bond even further. So I'm going to be rooting Fools this tournament. However, I'd be really happy to see someone like MMORPG come back and make a clutch win, really.
Mm-hmm.
So Mank's part of the squad Blazers, who have been playing together for many years as well. Of course, Justice with Fools, very tight-knit community, as you just said again, Ben. And actually, these two forces now, Fools and ODB, the team that Manked is with, are actually joining up as an alliance towards the ending, so they've got just as much chance as each other to get through to the final 1-versus-1 stage. If I had to put money on it, I would say Manked, with his experience prior to this one, has got the best shot. Justice, he's in a really, really good PK as well, though. I was watching them fight each other out, doing little practice rounds before this began, and they were going neck and neck. So ultimately, I know I say this every single time, it really is anyone's game. It comes down to how you do in the final, who you get put up against, if you manage to get yourself some of those extra weaponry from killing someone stronger than you. I just look forward to seeing how they all do, and Curtis as well is always going through the 1v1 stages. Adam, too, is in his element right now. He's really calm, cool, collected. I just look forward to seeing how it pans out, really.
Yeah, and we have Manked and Fool's Justice, as you've mentioned, I think are the favorites on stage to last the longest. But I would be inclined to think that Bodhi and MMORPG might do a bit better.
Yeah.
Just because if I'm one of the many other clans participating in this tournament, they're my primary targets. They've got some very big targets on their back. Curtis and Bodhi, maybe not so much. As you heard, his strategy wasn't as well thought out, maybe compared to somebody in Fools who's just won the tournament.
Definitely, we have two massive alliances that have been forming throughout this tournament. Now, Adam's going with one of them, the clan GG, I believe, the solo alliance. We've seen do very, very well in previous tournaments. And of course, Manked and Justice together now. If their team falls, that's them done with. Curtis is with Lit, a very smaller force this time round as well. We're going to talk about that a bit later as well. But I mean, yeah, definitely, like what you said there, Chris, you can definitely go through if they're not targeted as much. There's a lot of snipers that are going to be finding their mitts into the clan, trying to take people out slowly and surely. So yeah, I guess we'll see.
I think we saw in the last tournament just how effective that can actually be, them not thinking that they're a real threat, because Curtis MMORPG was for so long just not being touched. And that was, I think if I remember correctly, it was at Anakal, there was so little people left and they were all kind of like clumped up in the one little section within the ruins. But no one was going in and attacking because everyone else was just concentrating on the people that were fighting around, and he managed to get himself through, and probably could happen again. So
definitely.
Anything can happen, I think, but I'm still going to stick with Fools on this one.
Yeah, and I think using the high-value weapons like the Zuriel Staff, maybe a DFS, if they bring those out in the multi-area fights, they will be prime targets, even if they name change, etc. Because people need to take those guys down to get their gear to bring that into the 1v1. So a common strategy seems to be to use cheaper stuff, still good, but cheaper, and bank your really valuable items until you get to the 1v1s, because you do get to bank before you jump into those fights.
Yeah, and it kind of makes sense as well. You know, if you are going to perish, unfortunately, before you hit that 1v1 stage, then you don't really want to be feeding your opponent with all of this sick gear. So may as well just take out whatever you've got enough that's going to let you survive. And if you do end up planking, at least you don't give your opponent an advantage at the same time.
Yeah, and we've seen there are some very interesting items that have made their way into the tournament this time, so I'm curious to see if those
things there are some interesting items.
can make it into the 1v1s.
You said about not using the best in slot gear, but I've seen Justice's equipment already for the finals. He's rocking the Armadillo top, the DFS, that really strong tank bonus. Yep. I mean, he's saying, you know, whatever, bring it on, I can tank, I'm a beast at this. Fools have got a lot of multi-experience and doing this many times. So let's see if it pays off for him.
Right. Now, to make it into the 1v1 section, of course, Deadman, if you're not familiar, let's go through the basics. This is obviously a permadeath tournament, so if somebody dies, you're out of the tournament completely, meaning the victor tonight will have to have gone flawless. No stranger to Manx from the last time, but that's obviously a big deal. It's pretty easy to get wiped out by a clan, isn't it? Then going into the tournament, you could go against a very formidable opponent with significantly stronger gear than yourself. You get AGS to 70-something. Said something, not 3. But it is really skilled. It's a difficult thing for even the most skilled players that they could actually fall before they make it into the tournament. But safe to say the winner will be the best one, as they will have had to win so many fights consecutively.
Definitely. That's pretty much what happens when you are the winner. You're considered the best. Great analogy there, Archie.
Thank you.
Love it.
And if you eat food, you might not die.
Yeah, that's also a very good point. And don't forget, it might get down to the wire as well. So we're going to be watching out for all of these keywords and phrases. I think we were watching the VT back a moment ago. I think myself and Ian have seen that replay about 6 times now and realized just how many times we like to say ooh when we're in the 1v1 section.
You love a good ooh.
Lots of oohs and ahs and oh! So we'll be hearing a lot of that.
Sorry, Ben. Coming off the back of All-Stars, casting for 10 hours straight, quite a different event from a Deadman.
Yeah.
What's it like in comparison?
It's very different. All-Stars was a very interesting experience. I think I went through so many different stages of how I felt about my life during that broadcast.
Aww.
But it was a fantastic event, and the only thing that I kind of regret is just not having the energy to keep up the same pace and kind of like passion and charisma that I want to be portraying throughout the entire broadcast. But I think that's expected for 10 hours. Deadman, however, we've got 3 hours. I'm going to give it my all, the best shot that he can, and hopefully we can, we can ride that wave of energy and positivity right through to the finals.
I'm sure you guys will do great. You've already got some great notes here, I know.
No, we don't. It's all from our head. No one can see this, Archie.
You've done your research this tournament. Are there any statistics you want to kind of delve into before we get things underway?
Well, we can talk about 2 major alliances that are being formed. We have CT, Tartar, Execution, and GG, like we said before. Those guys are names that you've probably heard a lot if you watched previous Demon tournaments. We also have WB, Blazer, sorry. We have DL, OT also joined together, ODB, which Mank previously talked about, and then Fools also joining them. So these are the big names we'll be talking about throughout the tournament. And those 2 massive alliances are going to really be the crucial ones going forward in this multi-phase. And if you can't get through the multi-phase, can't get to that top 256, then it's all over for you, really, isn't it?
Yeah, and talking about the tournament, a little bit of information about the clans. How about what's new in this tournament? We've spoke very quickly about the fact that we're going into a top 256 rather than a top 128. There are other changes alongside of that. So we're going to see the PvP weapons coming in again. We mentioned before, some people out there, Boti himself has Vestus Longsword. Extremely powerful weapon. You're going to see special attacks coming out of there, hitting 50s. Maybe even through prayer as well. Very hard-hitting weapon indeed. Also, some very interesting tactics that I'm not going to reveal just yet, but we have had information that there are some pretty cool things that are going to be going on from some of the clan members and some certain weapons and combinations. So that's one to look out for. Other changes, we talked a little bit about how resources have been a lot more cost efficient this time round, and that's because the Bounty Hunter store, which normally houses a lot of kind of like alchable items, you get points from emblems. Emblems have an increased drop rate in Deadman mode. The mysterious emblems that you would normally get from Wilderness Slayer, you also get them from Wilderness bosses as well. Those can be exchanged in for points. Those points, instead of buying alchables, you can now buy potions. Typically, potions are really expensive because most people don't want to spend their entire time in the tournament skilling. So no one wants to go and do Herb Lore. It's a waste of time. You want to combat. Herb Lore's not going to help you beat down your opponent. So instead, you can buy them. Makes them very affordable. So a nice change there. A little bit of a different change as well. We're looking at if anyone has managed to complete Dragon Slayer 2, they're going to find that Rune Dragons have a 4 times increased drop rate of Dragon Limbs, which allows them to create the Dragon Crossbow. People might not be aware. Why is the Dragon Crossbow so important? Okay, so there's a pretty cool method that people use of doing special attacks, where you have to have a special attack weapon in order to be able to pull it off, and it's pretty much a one-tick spec. So you could be using a normal hit, maybe a potion to mask it, and then you instantly go in for a special attack. It's only possible with weapons that you can switch into. So if you are using multiple combat styles, you really need to have that bar there. And there are only 2 real ranged weapons that people are going to use that have that. The Armadillo Crossbow, which means go in God War's dungeon, and multi-area, pretty dangerous and quite typically locked down by one particular clan the entire tournament. Or you can go and do Dragon Slayer 2, you can kill Rune Dragons, and you can get the Dragon Crossbow. Doesn't have as much damage, but it can use the same level of bolts up to Dragon. That in itself is a pretty hefty damage boost, but then you also get the nice special attack bar, which allows you to pull off those pretty insane combinations that I think we're going to be seeing. Aside from there, the only real thing is the fog is going to be a little bit faster, and that's just to try and like force the fights to happen, and that's in the 1v1 stage, I believe, and the the jumps of the fog leading up to the 1v1s as well.
Yeah, because we noticed the last tournament, I think the fog stage was taking a little bit longer than we anticipated, and we wanted to kind of make the 1v1 fight a little bit longer. And you mentioned something earlier about the emblems and kind of encouraging players to get out there and engage in dangerous content. I'm really, really happy that we've gone with this change. I think Deadman is something that you can see some players make their way through and into the 1v1s without engaging in a single PvP fight. They can get rid of the attack options. They won't attack anybody at all. But what's nice is we're kind of encouraging that action, and then when you see in the 1v1 stages, you can kind of spot out the guys who have got there without any PKing experience, and then you can spot the guys who have been PKing this entire week. Yeah, no, you are completely right on that front. And interestingly, actually, one thing that I just forgot about there, you reminded me when we talked about emblems, is one of the other changes that came into this tournament. I'm not sure how effective it's been just yet. I'd be interested to hear from some players about it, but the Revenant Caves have been opened up for the very first time. Now, that includes the Wilderness weapons, so like Kraw's Bow, Thamuran's Scepter, and Vigor's Chainmace. They're going to be extremely effective training weapons for in the Wilderness because they do ridiculous amounts of damage, which means just increased XP tenfold. But I think what most people have been doing, rather than going for the Wilderness weapons, have been using the Revenant Caves to go and kind of like camp monsters that you wouldn't normally be able to camp in multi-situations. So like Green Dragons, for example, everyone's getting their prayer up a lot faster. The emblems are dropping like crazy. Yeah, I really want to find out how much people have been able to utilize that, what they've been able to benefit from it, and how much it impacted their kind of like starting strategy.
Yeah, I think it's the most competitive tournament so far that we've seen for Deadman, actually. A lot of the clans haven't been going out there engaging in as much combat as they have in the past, apart from notably Fool's Kembo and Justice on the stage right now, and Mankt himself too is doing a spot of PKing as well. But most clans have gone very, very serious, realizing there's 256 people that make it through to the 1v1 stage. Their best chance since forever to be able to get past that multi-phase and not to get sniped beforehand. So that being said, they've been kicking out their members doing God War's Dungeon, like you said before, getting the Wilderness weapons, the PvP weapons as well. And I think it's going to make for a really interesting spectacle. And a lot of the players are all going to be 120 plus combat at the end, and they're going to be kitted out in the best gear possible. I really can't wait to see what happens. Yeah, going to be absolutely awesome. I don't know if this is the right kind of time, Archie. What do you reckon? And we've talked about the tournament a lot. How do people get into the tournament?
Yeah, sure. So the qualification system is quite simple this time around. We take the top 2,000 players by skill total level. And that's pretty much it. We send them invitations, and they make their way into the tournament. We do have a couple of ideas that are rather exciting going forward for potential changes to the qualification system, which I'm not going to spend too much time on, but I'll explain very quickly.
Sure.
So essentially, we're looking at a point-based system, which will allow players to complete things like achievement diaries, or kill certain bosses, or other achievements throughout the game, which would collate a bunch of points. And then by the end of the season, we'd take the players with the most points, probably incorporate some player killing into that, and then invite those guys into the tournament. So not just people based on skilling. That's the idea.
Yeah. Yeah. It sounds like it's probably a good change to kind of like, just freshen everything up again. And for those of you at home and maybe in the audience that aren't too familiar with the way that Deadman works, is that we do have three separate versions of Deadman, in fact. There's Permanent Deadman, which resides on World 3, 4, 5. That's just got a lot of the, it's almost like an old classic version of Deadman. Doesn't have all of the changes that's came into the season. Hopefully that can get changed in the future. But that's essentially there as anyone that is just so passionate and dedicated about Deadman and the game mode entirely. It's there constantly. It doesn't turn off. We then have the season, which lasts for an entire month. And that typically happens around about 2 to 3 months before a tournament. So we're currently doing the winter tournament now. The winter season finished just after the autumn tournament, which was the last one that you would have seen here live on Twitch. In that season, as Archie mentioned, we take the top 2,000 total level players at the end of it and invite them into the tournament. So you have around about 4 weeks of the seasonal to go through. Very exciting. It's very fast and action-packed. Lots of different things happen within there and a lot of changes. So if you are interested, the season goes live as soon as this final ends. So as soon as the tournament's over, the seasonal servers will open up. You'll be able to log in straight away and start your adventure. And we do have some really interesting changes for the seasonal this time round. Some pretty big ones, most notably, though, is that we're going to be looking at making things like the looting bag, for example. That's going to be usable everywhere. So you have pretty much an extra 28 inventory slots wherever you are. The same restrictions and rules apply, though, so it's not going to be acting as almost like your mini pack yak, so to speak.
Yep.
There's also going to be a little fun one, which I like a lot, is double drop weeks. So each week, there's going to be a different area that's going to incorporate double drops. So it won't be increased drop rate, but if you do hit the drop table that you would normally hit, you'll get 2 items instead. And I believe week 1 is going to focus on the Revenants themselves, so they'll be dropping double of the Wilderness weapons. Week 2, we're going to be looking at going into the Wilderness bosses, which are going to be pretty useful if you've got the Wilderness weapons. They're going to help you kill those. After that, we move into Barrows into week 3, so any Barrows chests drops that you would get, they'll be doubled. And at the same time, because of that fact, Barrows will also unlock for the first time in quite a while now, and that's because we have PvP weapons coming into the season, but we're not including the PvP armors that were in there before. A little bit too strong just at this moment in time. And then believe week 4, we finish out with God War's Dungeon having the final double drop. And talking of drops, the last really exciting change is a brand new global drop table.
Oh, yeah.
And that global drop table can trigger from killing any NPC. And it has some pretty powerful weapons in there and items. I mean, we're talking kind of like Robin, Rangers, full third age. You can then get, I believe, a Fury, a Whip, all of the DK rings, the Dark Bow.
All the stuff you've got to wait usually a couple of weeks for the Slayer guys to get up and get the stats to be able to get into the game. Got them off the bat. 20 range level up, get 60 range. And the best thing about demo mode, obviously, is the accelerated experience rates and how fast-paced it is. You have 10 times XP rates. So you get up to the high levels so quickly. You've got to jump in from the bat, right from the start, because it's just so enjoyable. Fresh economy, fresh account, new competition.
Can you imagine as well, just like jumping straight into a season, you're already absolutely pumped from adrenaline because there's hundreds of people around you that any moment could kill you in one hit when you have 10 HP. You get out of the pack first. You run straight to wherever you want to go, where it's nice and quiet. I don't know, maybe you're going to go and kill some giant frogs. You kill the giant frog, and lo and behold, out drops a whip day 1.
The dream.
It is looking to be a very exciting season. I'm really excited for it. We have some great changes, and with the thousands of new players that join us every single time, you're definitely going to want to be a part of that. If you don't, we have the 6-hour immunity coming in for later joining players, but as we all know, joining in that first few minutes of Deadman season, there's no feeling like that. But guys, I think that is finally enough talking for us this evening. As I'm now going to move center stage and get ready to kick things off, guys. Give it up for the Deadman Winter 2018 finale.
are, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Deadman Winter 18 finale. Finale? Finale? Tournament.
They both do.
It's great. We're at the point now where if anyone dies, that's it. It's the end of their journey. In a moment, we're going to be rejoined by Pure Spam, but in the meantime, we have our wonderful host, Mod Archie, while Ian goes to the bathroom. He's had one too many Red Bulls before the tournament kicked off.
A minute before going, Ian goes, "Can I run to the toilet?" I'm like, "All right, I'll do a minute of casting." We'll see if he washes his hands. Okay, so which team are we looking at here? These guys look pretty formidable. Well, we're not going to get much.
We've got a crazy taxi over there. Hopefully it's not too crazy. Whilst we get some information come through from our wonderful team backstage, if you are interested in sending something over to us, feel free to use the hashtag DeadmanWinter on Twitter. Do send us in tweets. Please try and keep it nice and something that we can actually have on screen. Don't be that person. Looks like I've just been joined back by Pure Spam.
I'm so sorry. My nerves got to me, and I had drank a Red Bull before I got on stage. So I'm back now, though. I went back to watch the spectacle that is Deadman Winter. How are you, Ben?
Absolutely fantastic.
Yeah,
Thank
excited?
You, I am, yeah. I mean, it's probably, if people have been keeping up with Deadmans, we'll get onto the action in just a moment. There's just one thing that I think it's well worth us covering right now.
Right.
You'll notice that there's only two of us at the moment. Normally, we do have the wonderful Revan alongside us casting. Unfortunately, wasn't able to make it to this event. So, we were asked, do you guys want to go as a duo? And Pure Spam / Ian being one of my best friends, I couldn't say no. Fantastic time as always. And,
Ben.
Really looking forward to how this tournament pans out and how well we do. I love the chemistry between us, so hopefully the audience do too.
No, absolutely.
Just want to put on a good show for you.
It's good to be sitting next to you again, doing another event. I believe we did our own one a few weeks ago, didn't we? The Aiza Giza NH tournament, which went spectacularly, may I say, as well. And now we get to sit next to each other and talk about RuneScape all over again, which I can't wait for.
My favourite thing to do. So. We do have a chest drop that's going to be coming in 2.5 minutes. Those chest drops typically contain pretty powerful pieces of equipment that you would normally have to do, some high-end PVM or other actions to have to kind of like get a hold of. So I believe that we're going to be looking at chest number 2, which is going to contain a Carol's skirt and Aaron's robe bottom for anyone who is lucky enough to get a hold of that. And that's going to be near the Forgotten Cemetery, which is what we're looking at.
Okay, so the Aram's Robe Top, obviously the best in-slot mage equipment. And right now we have a bit of battle going on already. Only NMZ getting stuck into it, trying to take down some opponents. We're getting Barrage right now, taking on his armor for some mage defense bonuses, which was negative beforehand, I believe. But of course, Ice Barrage freezes your opponent in place, and he's not letting him get away. Although he's going to be wasting supplies. Is he going to follow him all the way north? Looks like only NMZ might get away, but no, he's being frozen in place just west of Draenor Manor. Quite an interesting spot as well to be PKing at, right, Ben?
Yeah, very much so. If maybe this chap had done something more than NMZ, he'd have a bit better of a chance of keeping himself alive. Because I don't believe you get experience within there in Deadman, because it's an instance. So,
this is what it's all about, though. Jumping right into the combat. Maybe not, preparing yourself for the final hour. Who cares about the $20,000 grand prize? Let's just have fun and slay some
looking at his invent, obviously, managed
Dude,
to
he just dropped his staff.
Wait, what? Oh, he's just juked them, dropped the staff, and he runs. Only NMZ, you're a genius, my friend.
We can't see that they're chatting games, so maybe he was saying right there, listen, man, you can have my staff, just let me go. I'm not going to be a threat in the final, just let me get away.
He has no food, nothing on him apart from a few runes that he can probably teleport to Lumbridge and die with, and it'll be very fun to see how only NMZ gets in this tournament.
Well, as you mentioned before, we have a whole week these players have had to get in as much combat as they can, and right now, this guy, absolute champion in the full Mystics, the Black Full Helm, the Dorgish crossbow.
But, unfortunately, Glory Boy did not fall at that time.
No, he got away right
Probably
there.
was about to.
So a lot of these players obviously been playing very casually, just helping out their teams, their squads, trying to gear them up with the best gear possible they can get through the wilderness and such. Others have been sweating out the entire week, playing 20+ hour days. They started on Saturday, last Saturday, at level 3 accounts, and oh my gosh, this is going to be the most interesting thing to watch all tournament.
Everyone's just having a little splash in the River Lum, I believe.
Oh man. There we go. Come on, have a nice little.
Yeah, how many of them can make it across?
Oh, man, that's always good to see.
It's not that hard. Just jump to the other stone.
Shall we talk about the major alliances, or should we wait until after the chest drop is about to fall up in the graveyard over here?
Well, it looks like it's about to drop, but no one wants to get it, apart from that little old rangy boy in the corner there wearing his green dragon hide.
This is why you have the level 59 just sitting around. If he dies, who cares, man? He's not going to lose much. He's what? Green D-hide, his anti-dragon shield. Managed to pick himself up. An Aram's robe top and a Carol's skirt for his team. And the Aram's robe top.
Oh, the other way around. Carol's skirt and Aram's robe bottom.
Robe bottom. Okay, well, still best in slot robe bottoms for the Arims, which is very, very important.
I mean, you can't equip them, bless them, and the tutor probably isn't going to see, but that is one huge force.
There's a lot of them here. I think I just
hopefully-
saw Mika potentially, who's a big name, unless he's changed
That
his...
is one absolutely gigantic army.
I know exactly who this is. I saw Tartar Demon there. So,
Yeah, so I have some numbers here. Do you want to talk about the individual teams, and then I can go through how many there are?
So we have 2 major alliances in this tournament so far. Obviously, to get the best chance of making it through the multi-phase, there are only 256 players that make it to the 1 versus 1. So in order to get there, you want to be able to go with a clan who can back you up, who can secure your entry into that final situation. So the 2 major alliances, here we have, most definitely, CT, Cutthroat, who are a massive 07 clan, been around for many, many years now, led by Christy. We have Tartar as well. These guys have been playing since the World 45, the original demo days, and they are a force to be reckoned with. All of their players very skilled in the 1v1 specifically. Execution, again, an olden World 45 clan, been around for a very long time, and GG, the solo alliance, Rads 201 as they were formerly known as. We saw them last tournament coming together and really working together as a big force for the first time. Apart from those guys, though, we also have another 3 teams in the form of ODB that Max was talking about earlier. We have Blazers, DL, Divine Legion, and OT, Overtake. And they are joining up with Fools. We have Fools Justice on the stage as well right now. It's a lot of information to digest, but we'll be talking about things a little bit further in general. Do you want to go on to how big these teams really are as well?
Yeah, of course. And to put things into perspective, we can jump over to the heat map quickly. You can kind of like see the size of these globes here. So you can see that one team has already decided to secure themselves the position within inside Anakal. That's where that last area is going to be. I believe that's where we're looking at, right?
Yep.
This is the right area. We have another very large team coming out here. This lovely looking nucleus
walking
that
around
you can
single
see.
strip at the moment.
Yeah, and if you look at the size of them, they're very similar. So if these 2 are opposing clans, that's going to be a very interesting clash of us to look at. Now we look over in the other area, you can see there's a few little spots around that's going to highlight some small teams, maybe a group of 3 or 4 friends, probably having a few drinks and around one of those
enjoying themselves.
Yeah, you know, just having a good time. And then you can see here 2 fairly large forces and one, you know, mediocre kind of
definitely.
size. Sorry. So in terms of numbers, we're looking at around about 75 or so people at the moment. This is as of 6:30, so we're a little bit out. But as of 6:30 this evening, which is an hour and a half ago, around about 75 people running clanless. Tartar seem to have a force of around about 127 people.
127 now. Wow, that is huge out of the 2,000 that applied, obviously.
Yep. Coming in second to them are Fools with around about 100 members.
The Finnish squad.
Yeah. Blazers seem to have 91 in part of their group.
And they're also allianced with Fools, of course, so taking number 2 and 3, they're a very large force.
Absolutely. Yeah, you saw how big that clump was, and you can probably safely say that it's going to include some of those. We've got Mika's group, not quite sure of who is running with at the moment, but
I
that's...
thought Lit, potentially.
Lit.
They've always been a massive force in the past. And I believe this time round they have a bit of a smaller merge of another clan called CD, but I believe Mika and MORPG as well on the stage right now are rocking with Lit, you know, staying true to their clan they've always been with.
If that's the case, then maybe Lit aren't that small, because Mika's group seem to have around about 88 members.
Wow.
Lit alone have 82. And then we're looking at CT with about 48 players and Execution with 22 as well.
Okay.
So some really good numbers there. If we're looking at, the biggest team seems to be Tartar and Fools. So if those 2 are kind of like joining together, then they're not, though, are they? They're the CT.
It's CT, Tartar, Execution, and GG. And I believe that Tartar squad probably has a few members from CT, Execution, GG amalgamated into them, as well as Blazers, of course, having teams of DL and OT also in their clan chat too. Now, the biggest problem for Fools and the Blazers alliance, or the ODB alliance rather, is going to be that the Fools members, the Finnish squadron, they're 100+ strong. They have a big alliance together, but they don't speak the same language. So they're not going to have the same communication these other squads are going to have. CT, Tartar, Execution, GG. These guys are on the same Discord together, calling out different commands and making sure they're all, moving as one big force together. It's going to be a difficult Titan to overcome.
Communication at that point is going to be so critical to success as well, especially when we've seen in previous tournaments, you'll get to see it as the other opponents start to work, kind of like close in on the safe area, but they're going to start taking a separate corner, and that's going to be their home territory within the safe zone until they're forced to have to fight. And then you'll slowly see people kind of like moving around, very coordinated. And when you have 2 very large forces that are meant to be working together, but have a communication barrier, it's going to be very difficult to stay coordinated. We've got another chest drop coming up here within 4 seconds. This one is going to be landing in Barbarian Village, and is going to include an imbued Seer's Ring and an imbued Archer's Ring.
Look at this guy, Borkfish 1147. What a name, what a hero, running in, trying to get the item, but I believe that's a clanmate, and Carlos grabbing out himself the items, and from that chest, king himself up, level 102 combat. And I'm wondering, is he going to be an escort for those items to give it to a more, a stronger player, or is he literally going to keep them for himself?
Yeah, very nice items for him to have there, as I say. Imbued Seer's Ring, Imbued Archer's Ring, so 2 best-in-slot things there for them for both magic accuracy and range accuracy.
Yeah, you probably end up sticking with the Seer's Ring, of course. Having that mage accuracy, catching those freezes, being able to DD under your opponents and such is absolutely crucial. Let's talk about old school RuneScape for a little bit as well. How does PvP work in RuneScape?
How does PvP work? Can I just say just quickly before we move on from there?
Yes, of course.
The person who just managed to pick up that chest is actually from Fools.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So the Finnish Warriors going out of their way to get those imbued rings. Of course, having to kill the DKs. Very hard place to get those rings, and those best-in-slot rings are really helpful as well.
It's a pretty risky move as well, because it's in multi Barbarian Village. You could have just got completely piled on, but yeah, managed to take it.
We see this time and time again, actually. All the clans staying away from those areas, which usually we'd think would attract a lot of players to it, but all the clans just not feeling like it's worthwhile whatsoever.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about Fools a little bit.
Well, you said you wanted to talk about a little bit about PvP, so should we just do that for our viewers if you've just tuned in? Yeah, we'll just kind of like go back and forth on conversations. I apologise, I interrupted you, Flo, Ian, but we can get back into it.
No need to apologise, Ben. Talking about PvP and RuneScape, so we have the combat triangle, which consists of range, magic, and melee. So the main spells for magic are going to be Ice Barrage and Ice Blitz. Those are also, of course, Ice Barrage is an AoE effect damage, so it hits multiple targets at the same time. It also freezes your opponents in place. We also have for range the Chinchompers, which again is an area effect damage. Now you have overhead spells that you can see in game right now that protect from range. Like I just hit a 37 Warhammer hit.
Yeah,
that's the PvP weapon going in.
Was that
hard,
Darok's Great Axe I've just seen swinging down?
Oh, I hope so. I really hope someone's got the Daros. They always ask for it.
I believe it was the Warhammer.
It's pure mission. Oh, this guy. This is a Solar Mission, of course, one of the content creators out here right now, and looks like he's potentially trying to grab himself one of the chest drops which can appear here, but he's being intercepted by these 2 players. What was that? I just
well, he's being interpreted to be a very formidable opponent, so they have to take him down, Pure Spam. That's how you recover.
I believe Pure Missions, actually, that's maybe his alt account. I doubt it's his main, as I've seen his main around before. I was playing with their team earlier this week, and he's going to make a quick getaway, potentially, maybe even lure these guys into his other members. But actually, these guys don't really care about the kill. All they want is that supply drop. What comes from this supply drop as well?
So this supply drop is going to be the anti-chest 2. So chest 4 contains the Carol's top and Arim's top.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah,
so best in slot again, unless you've got yourselves an Armador plate body, which
we know a few people have.
We might see those a bit later on from the God Wars dungeon itself.
Yeah. So, Ian, you were touching very briefly on PvP a moment ago.
Yes.
We got to the point of talking about barrage spells. So we've got Ice Barrage, which is the AoE that freezes and deals damage. Very, very strong, but it can also damage your teammates, so people have to be careful. I think that's what you said about Blitz. You're also going to be looking at Blood Barrage. Blood Barrage, another AoE spell, but rather than freezing, it actually heals you for a percentage of the damage that you dish out.
Which is absolutely crucial towards the final area. When you want to make sure you're making best use of those supplies, you can't go to a bank and get more out. If you're out of food, unless you can find some on the floor, you are out of the game pretty much. You're going to fall very, very quickly.
Yeah, it's almost like imagine yourself doing a greater Necreal task, a superior Necreal just like spawns about, and instead of like 4 death spawns, there's actually 40 of them. Imagine how much damage you're taking, but imagine how much you're healing at the same time as well. And talking about how much damage, how much can this team output? What a huge amount of people that we have here stacked in the corner, just a few steps away from Anakal.
Yeah, and looking at their gear as well, we see a lot of people in the Barrows gear, in the Zuriel stuff, so all the PvP weapons. They've had a week, like I said before, to get the best gear possible, to train their accounts up to the best stats possible. Of course, there's been accelerated experience drops, accelerated drop rates, but still, they've had to grind it out like crazy and count out the best members, have the best chance of winning that $20,000 grand prize.
For sure. Ian, I'm very cautious of the fact that we keep going to talk about PvP
and
interrupting ourselves.
Okay,
so
sorry.
We've got to the point of combat triangle. We have ranged, magic, and melee.
Of course. So melee usually has to be used up close, of course. Your special attacks, which are usually the most powerful under melee. We have the Status Warhammer, the VLS as well, Vessel Longsword, which can just absolutely decimate people. We'll see those more in the 1v1 finals. For this part, the multi-phase, before the 256 final players get put across that 1v1, we're mostly going to see range and magic. Now, talking about the overheads as well, you have prayers, which reduce damage by 40%. So getting those prayers, but getting those prayers right is absolutely crucial to take the least amount of damage possible, whilst also making sure you're outputting the right damage to make sure your opponent's not praying the right thing. And right now, we're about to see a chest drop in another 15 seconds, Ben. And I wonder which team is going to nab it.
It'd be very interesting to see. Nice items for them.
Looks like Pure Mission still wants to try and get it, snake it out the corner.
He's still really trying hard, bless him. Hopefully he manages to, his time spent there pays off. So we've talked about spells, we've talked about melee. The chest is about to drop. See which chap manages to pick that up. Talking about range.
MSB guy, level 52
Oh,
combat
who
has
was
somehow
it?
got it.
No,
if he
who
dies
was?
now,
It was the 52
It is,
combat.
yeah, and he's running away right now. Can he tank it with no overheads? I mean,
on,
it's a one-man
Colbane, you
mission.
can do it.
Go on, son. His whole
Run.
team's running in now, trying to protect him as best they can, but he's low HP, getting caught in a barrage pile
Oh
too.
my god, I've just realised anyone that's in the Fountain of Ruin right now is not making it out of there alive.
No.
There is no
they've
chance.
got a little narrow pathway going over
How
that
are they
little
keeping
bridge.
this level 52 alive
Mate,
for so long? He's
absolute
tanking like a
machine.
monster.
He's got no armor on, a magic shortbow hitting back,
Oh,
but it's not
unfortunate.
enough. 52 hit points, can't really tank
That
it
was
at that point.
Blazers, I believe,
That
who
was
had managed to
Blazers,
pick that
was it?
up. Unfortunately, has failed. So does that mean that Blazers are this whole force right here?
I think Blazers might be in the center of Anakal based on names that we've seen, but it's very difficult for us to remember. Of course, before the final takes place, people like to change their names before going in to make sure they've got the best chance of not getting sniped by opposite clans. Should we talk a little about the clans now as well?
Oh, actually, yeah. You talk about clans, and I've got some interesting stats I'd like to go over once you finish, if that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I guess we'll start with Blazers, since that's what we're talking about. I went with Blazers along this week, a little PKing with them and such. Had a lot of fun. So the OD Blaze Alliance with its OT and DL formed last tournament. Manked on stage, as we said before, is representing Blazers, and they're also teaming with Fools, the Finnish Warriors, for the final as well. An alliance to make sure they've got the best chance of getting through to that final phase. They started the week by having a bit of agility pyramid lockdown to get the money coming in nice and quick, printing money
Smart
pretty
tactic,
much.
yeah.
Definitely. And then they locked down MM2 as well as a lot of God Wars dungeons, trying to get the best in slot items they possibly could.
Ooh.
They also had other streamers such as Alfie going for DS2, Dragon Slayer 2 for the Dragon Crossbow, which you spoke about earlier. Obviously, a most powerful range weapon pretty much in the game, apart from the Armored Crossbow as well. And I have a little quote from Blazers, actually, that I want to read out.
Oh, I can't wait for this one. You read it out
Okay.
earlier, and it is beautiful.
We knew if we got Dragon Crossbows and Sufferings, we'd have a great chance in the final hour. Our men fought hard, bolt for bolt, D-sim whack for whack, and achieved our goals of multiple rings of Suffering and Dragon Crossbows. With these rings forged in the fires of Ape Atoll and kitting our snipers with Dragon Crossbows, we aim to blaze the competition and leave them scorched as they fall, only to see lines of ODB spam. I cannot wait to see how these guys do.
What a beautiful tale. Thank you so much for that, Ian. Wonderful.
Another clan now, of course, Fools as well, the Finnish Warriors. They've won multiple tournaments in the past, favourites to win, over 100 members, as we spoke about earlier as well. They also have several AGSs, and they've been grinding out God Wars Dungeon for quite a while now to get the best in slot gear possible. They spent money on Justice and another guy called Seppo to come to Runefest last year, which is where we met them, and they sent 40+ Fools members on a cruise.
Why don't we actually listen to what Fools are up to at the moment and have a quick...
Can we understand what they're saying is the question, but I mean, we can give it a go.
I mean, we can see. We'll look at, even if not, we can look at Fool's Justice and figure out what's going on in his actual gameplay here. So we can kind of hear him here. Interesting setup that he's got.
Definitely. So I believe he's rocking the full tank. He's got a DFS on. He's got the Armored plate body potentially as well, and Azuriel staff. Inventory-wise, he has Phoenix necklaces, which break upon impact. He gets down to low HP and healing for amount of damage.
They can also nullify the damage as well.
Yeah,
when
they do.
break,
Yeah, they
don't
do. Exactly. Absorb some damage hits as well, which is really crucial.
So, I believe that one of the things that we heard from All Stars is a lot of people, when we talk about items who weren't too familiar with them. Phoenix necklace, you'll see that in someone's inventory. It's the gold necklace with a kind of like silver gem sat within the middle of it. Okay, that's a Phoenix necklace. It has a special proc. It's an item that when you get down to a certain amount of HP, it will break.
Yep.
The break effect of that necklace will absorb any of the damage that you would have taken, and then it will heal you up for another percentage.
Now,
so
of course, you can't rely on the Phoenix necklace either, though, because you can just get killed above 20% HP.
Just like a Ring of Life, I believe that's at 10% HP. The Phoenix necklace works at 20% HP, but if you get overhit, it's completely useless and you've wasted inventory slots. So kind of a risky thing to take, but also very good. If you're taking the smaller hits, and in all honesty, when you're in these multi-zones, unless you're being the one that's completely focused down with ranged attacks, the AoEs that you're going to be getting that are coming through from Magic, it's not going to be enough to hopefully kill you in one hit, so you should be okay. The ranged hits that are going to be coming through, unless they're using crossbows and really focusing you down, you're going to be getting hit by chin chompers. Those of you that don't know what a chin chomper is, it's a furry little creature. In old school RuneScape,
they're really cute,
absolutely
aren't they?
brutal.
Why do people throw them and they explode on impact?
We
that
literally,
cute little creature, poor thing.
Yeah, you light a fuse, you can imagine where that goes. Throw it out to your opponent, next thing you know, it's exploded and then it hits in an AoE radius. So if you do see these big orange explosions, those are chin chompers being thrown. You'll see a lot of those. You'll see a lot of ice blocks being put out. That's not just because it's Christmas, it is the animation of the spell, and then if you do see the blood kind of like squirting up from people's heads, that's because it's Blood Barrage.
Oh my gosh. We have a few tweets coming in too. As a reminder, guys, hashtag Deadman Winter to get involved on social media. We have Let's Get This Bread at Fools Justice, one of the favourites to win on stage and from Fools themselves. Another thing to say about Fools real quick to finish up on them is they are proud Finnish warriors, and they're only teaming because they have to, apparently. Because all the other teams have squatted up to try and take them down.
Okay.
Another
But I believe,
chest falling in.
and they kind of like ran solo up until this point, though. They're
usually
only
do,
teaming
man,
for the
yeah.
final hour.
Definitely.
That chest there contains a Dragonfire shield. So
that's
looks like we have
huge.
Trapdoor only taking that Dragonfire shield. A very nice tank item there for him. Having a look at the heat map now, you can still see these two teams. We received information before, so this team just over here,
Yep.
so that would be, I don't know, like my left, your right, something like that. That, I believe, is Mika's team. So
okay,
the team that
so
Mika's
lit, something we talked about before, potentially.
yeah, which would then probably suggest that we're looking at, you know, maybe Blazers sat within the
in the
within the
Anaconda area
ruins.
already, so they're defending right now.
And that's not typically something that we see. Normally we'll see teams that are kind of like spread apart. So we have one here, which they are right now, and there'll be another team sat around about here until the zone closes in.
So they get sandwiched in, don't they? And
Yeah,
they can't really do much about that.
But now, whatever has happened, whether there's intel, you can see there's a few spots around the map. It might be that they have scouts, but whichever team has managed to lock down Anakal at this point realizes that they're not going to get taken from the other side. So they have the advantage at the moment. They've got the high ground. They've got the prayer restoration effect, which I believe happens within Anakal
It does,
as well.
yes. It's a very good thing to point out, actually. When you're inside the ring, inside the ruins themselves, your prayer does restore slowly, which will save you on a few prayer potions and such. But the best thing about defending that area is that you can stand your ground. These players are trying to get away from the fog, which will instant kill them if they don't move fast enough. So
they're really just able, if they just stand their ground, if they're able to play the defensive game.
Freeze some people far enough away with the Ice Barrage spell, like we said before.
Completely, and then before you know it, those teams, every single person that gets knocked out is a massive impact. You can see here now we have a huge force that have been moving towards the safe zone in Falador. It's the statue just north of the famous town where you go and kill all of the guards for clue scrolls.
Oh, fantastic. This brings back the memories. Also, yeah, I remember coming here so much. But already, is that action taking place? A few Chinchombas being thrown?
It seems like, yeah, I've just had info that this is fools coming through, and it's probably the fact that they just want to absolutely clear it out and lock this down for themselves.
So they're sitting southwest. Now, the best thing about defending this area is that southwest actually is a singles area. But look at the move as one massive unit shows the communication and just how well of a tight-knit community they are. They've been PKing for so many years now. They've had practice in all kinds of worlds. But one thing to watch out for especially is that there's a few snipers in the midst, you know, waiting inside the clan chat. Somehow they've made their way inside, and they're going to try and pick off the higher levels as best they can, you know, try and dwindle down their supplies. So when the other clan comes in, they can actually finish them off nice and quickly.
Not only that as well, but poor old Billy Bob, who's been playing all week on his own, just wants to have a good time in the tournament, suddenly realizes there's 150 people in front of him. He's probably going to try and sneak in there and go unnoticed so that he's not going to fall straight away. You can see that there's a few little damage splats coming out. That's probably because of what's happening.
And right now, the team that is protecting Anakal, we think's ODB Alliance. Just south of them, actually, another chest is going to spawn very soon. So they're able to lock that one down very easily. And if anyone tries to snipe that chest, well, they can get all their players to run a little bit south and shoot the enemies over the lava river, which would be pretty interesting as well. We were talking about Lit earlier as well, potentially being to the east, that massive clan with Mika inside them. So they're previous winners as well. They've won quite a few tournaments. They formed huge alliances in the past, known as Cold, which we've seen over and over again just decimate the competition. They rushed KBD at the start, one of the wilderness bosses, because you get such good rewards from them. And they've got a smaller team this time, they said to us at least. Go on.
I'm really sorry, Ian. I'm looking at this guy's name. It's incredible. Harry Potter.
Harry Potter. I'm like, what an absolute
Who
legend
needs
there.
Harry Potter? We've got Harry Potter. It's
and
brilliant.
Just next to him as well. Really smart attack to the guy in the Mystic Hat. Actually got the bear attacking him, so he can't be attacked by other players. And the princess guarding the supply drop that's about to drop. What comes from this chest drop then, Ben?
So this being the last chest drop of the tournament, we are going to be looking at the Infernal Cape and a Fury Amulet.
Oh, wow, that is huge. Obviously, Infernal Cape. I don't think anyone's gone for that on the tournament in the past, at least. And the Infernal Cape gives you an extra 2 or so max hits with melee. So if you've got the VLS for the finals, you've got those massive special attack weapons. It can be the extra 2 hits that you need of damage to actually KO your opponent and not have to outlast them as well. I can't wait to see who gets one of those.
Blow Up is the one that has got the bear next to him. So before you move on to the clan, let's get a little bit of a social plug. Geeky Manchild. Nothing wrong with that. I'm sitting here wearing a Legend of Zelda tie, so you know, big up the geeky man children out there. Production levels are on point at 2018 # Deadman Winter Tournament. Thank you so much, and thank you so much to ESL for doing a fantastic job as always, and obviously
props.
Jagex for hosting the event.
Yeah, it's always great to be here, be invited out. This beautiful studio out in Leicester. And all the audience as well for coming out here today. Thank you so much for joining us, guys. Give yourself a round of applause. Thank you for tuning in at home as well, guys. And there's no
clap as well.
applause.
Come on, audience.
Thank you.
You can clap. You can clap louder than
Cheers
that.
for coming, lads.
All right, now we just stop. You asked 3 times and it's a bit too much. Just want to point out one thing here. You're seeing the chest drop happen in a different location. That's because the final chest does actually drop in 2 separate places. So yeah, here at Anakal, just over the lava river, and then we also have the one that was further down near. Where was it? tower with the princess and you do a quest.
Yeah, near Camelot as well.
Yeah.
Moving on quickly, I want to talk about a few other clans. Who got this drop, actually? Let's find out exactly who got them. Level 92, potentially. I would like to pronounce that name, but I can't. Someone's called him Khan. And did Harry manage to get himself... Oh, I think
Harry
he did. He just
Potter.
dropped himself the glory on the floor, which means he's got the Fury. But is he wielded the Inferno Cape? He's going to keep it a secret as somebody snipes out too early on. But obviously, he's only 108 combat. I say only.
Oh, wow. A lot of
it's
action
happening
going on
already.
Here. The clans have really just pushed themselves in. You can see the damage hitting across. I wonder how many people had fallen before we managed to catch this. Looking at the heat map now, both of those clans have completely merged. They are all in thick within the action right now. You can see so many players getting down low HP, a huge clump of players. Absolutely incredible scenes.
And if you look at the top left of the screen right now, with 800 players remaining, that's going to fall dramatically and very quickly too. Now, the opponents from the east will be trying to wrap around the defending opponents, trying to get in there as best as they can. But the defending opponents seem to be taking way more damage splats. I really can't tell which way this is going right now. Green Cow, level 65, somehow tanking it with only 61 hit points. Absolute legend right there.
Looking around at the scenes, you can just see people dropping left, right, and center. Literally everywhere you look, someone is dying.
I mean, you step the wrong place right here, you get frozen in place, you get people catching hits on you. There's not much you can really do, really. And yeah, right now it's just a battle of the communication, trying to move your players around, trying to look at your mini-map, seeing who is near you, which clan's near you, if you can actually help out in any way, shape, or form. Look in the middle as well. We see a bunch of people just sitting in the corner, right in the center of the ruins, just keeping themselves there for as long as they can, letting their little, you know, the grunts of the team go forward and act as cannon fodder in a way, you know, trying to take out as much damage as they can, just waste the opponent's supplies.
I just can't believe how many people are dying here. It looks like there's so many people.
There are so
many more. There's only so many people that we can load on the screen at one point. That's literally how many there are here. But you can kind of see what we were talking about earlier, where the teams start to shift around in like a anti-clockwise rotation. The coordination between them now has to be absolutely on point. One step out of place, and you've got potentially 150 people ready to cast a hit on you, and you're dead.
We can see so many blood spells actually coming out now as well. The little red pieces of blood flying into the air. That's the blood barrage, which also heals you at the same time. Great tactic to use to, you know, secure your supplies, be able to keep them on for as long as you possibly can. 775 players remaining now.
Look at all the different pets that are around. I'm seeing an agility pet, that little squirrel.
No,
the
can
cute
you
little
imagine,
Santa
dude,
hat as well.
Getting yourself a pet on the tournament, and after today, it's all gone. It's completely finished from the game. You can't get it back again.
Feels bad, man.
Literally, man. We see a cat walking around us. He's like, what am I doing here? Why did you bring me to this? In the middle right now, again, that clan, I see it. A really interesting tactic used last time by Lit as well. Right in the middle of the ruins, you can see at the top of the screen, next to the Deadman Winter sign, just waiting there, sitting in there, not being attacked by anyone.
If you sit in the middle, there are two ways to get in, and those are complete
and you can't really get out. Yeah, definitely.
As long as you've got like a member of like 10, maybe even 15 people in there, all it takes is each of you to hit at once on an AoE attack, especially if you get an Ice Barrage, you can freeze them, and that's instant perishable moment for them.
Oh, now northwest of Falador. This team has to make a move now. We're Fools on the prowl in the defensive spot, keeping their stand right here. They don't want to make any mistakes at the moment, and straight off the bat, one person steps into line a bit too close, and bam, off go the Chinchompers, off go the barrages, and it's just too much for the opponent's teams to handle. And look at people are falling so quickly, much faster than Anakal as well. Fools really doing work at the moment, and they're keeping their ground absolutely sensationally well.
Completely ridiculous. There's so much damage flying out here. As you said, Fools doing a fantastic job of holding the ground, not even having to move. It might be because they're frozen, but I really don't think it matters because they've managed to thin these numbers out so much so quickly. Looking at the heat map here, there's no need to go over to it at the moment because there's so much action, but I can actually see another team. They're about to come in from the south, reaching up towards the north. We're going to have Fools being pinched by two separate clans. Now, was this a special tactic? Were they both teams, or is it just a random that just managed to put themselves in that position at the perfect time?
See, now it's absolutely crucial that Fools regain their ground, move to the side, and manage to get themselves out of this position because, you know, 1 versus 1, I'm sure Fools are more than capable of taking it, but 2 versus 1, they don't like those odds.
There's an Armadillo pet there. Someone has got Kriara pet.
The Kriara pet. Well, there must be a few AGSs and Armadillo items in the game as well. I believe Fools were camping them before. And interestingly, right now, actually, you know, revolving round, not as many people right in the center, trying to regain their positionings and just, you know, seeing what they can do with those Chinchompers. Seeing a lot of Blood Barrage spells, again, flying in right now. And it's just utter and absolute chaos, isn't it, Ben?
It is completely. Normally, when we're in these stages, it takes quite a long time for us to build up to the point where people are fighting. However, due to the changes of the fog going in a little bit faster, clans get in their position a lot better. These fights just happen so much quicker. And look at everything. The numbers are just falling. We've gone down to 725. I'm sure that's going to update very soon. We can see people just... There's just so much collateral damage.
No, absolutely. And looking at Anakal right now, we see two forces, one north, one south. And very soon, we'll have a bit of a stalemate situation, is what we normally see. A lot of the high-level players don't want to really get stuck into action a bit too quickly. So if they get out of place by one step even, get frozen, they can literally be just one hit from full hit points down to 0. A whole week's worth of work, grinding out your stats, grinding out the gear, just to be finished like that.
Completely. And talking about gear, I mean, some of the clans here have spent hours getting together their gear. We've got people in terms of like PvP weapons, for example. How many do they have as a percentage? Tartar have 30% of all PvP weapons in the entire game.
Well, they smashed out the Wilderness off the bat, weren't they? Keeping control throughout, trying to make sure they've got those weapons for the 1v1 finals.
They're followed closely by Force, however. 19% of all PvP weapons belong to them. Blazers have 15%. Randomers have 12%. Looking at Lit, we have 12%, CT 6%, Execution 5%. However, I think in this moment of action, I'd really like to see what one of our players on stage is up to and how they're handling it.
All alive still and doing so well as well. Should we jump into Boaty's action right now? He is with, looks like potentially Fools or GG potentially. I think actually no, he's with GG. He was trying to go with Fools, they didn't accept him. He's not finished, but right now doing his best. Are we actually listening to the call at the moment?
We can definitely hear him a little bit at some point.
Let's have a listen then.
Okay, we're good. 67. That's all right. I can risk that. It's fine.
I think this is the
39. That's a heal. Oh, shit, wrong potion. Uh-oh.
Oh, naughty word there, Boaty.
Heal. Keep healing.
He's not really doing much damage right now, though. Just trying to focus on keeping his HP nice and high.
He has plenty of brews to see him through this, as well as using the Blood Barrage when he can.
And look at that. That coordination running all the way north, all in one big movement.
It's what we were mentioning before, how they kind of like, you know, they do go round that clockwise or anti-clockwise motion around the square, just as when their opponent moves. And look at the damage that just flew out from them.
Should we jump into Mankt as well right now? One of the other favorites, the Northwest. He's sticking around Anakar right now. Looking at the minimap as well, the purple dots are part of his CC. The white dots aren't, and the white dots are rushing in all of a sudden. There's so many more. And he's keeping out the corners, looking for food, trying to make sure he's, you know, got as many supplies as possible.
Yeah, purple dots trying to stick together as much as possible. You can see it's just like almost like a warren of ants, just maybe two different nests attacking one another, because the white dots have really got themselves thickened within the group, and that's probably because of the fact that their numbers have dwindled. You can see here a lot of Fool's Mika being posted out there.
I mean,
seems like they've came out on top of that fight.
Curtis as well right now. His supply is looking real nice. I had a little look at Bo's supplies a second ago, and Adam's not looking the best. He sees sharks on the floor. Is he going to go for them? No, it's a bit too risky, I should think. But a lot of supplies left. 554 players remaining, so about halfway of a chance to get into the final 1v1. Only 256 players will make it through to the 1v1 area. That's 128 from each area. Now, Fool's Justice, look at that inventory right now. He has absolutely stacked himself up. He's just sitting back, enjoying himself, letting the team do what they need to do. And obviously, he's kitting out one of some of the best gear possible, the DFS, the Armadillo armor. And he's got a really high chance now, if he gets through that 1v1, to actually make it all the way through and win that grand prize. He wants to see Fools winning again, taking some more money home to go on that nice little hotel cruise, whatever they wanted to do.
But I think that we're going to, you know, pretty much hire out a huge house and have 70 people or so.
Did you see that? I think Mankt, actually, before we went back to the screen, he had a quick trade with one of his members and was given more supplies.
What an absolute beast. We've got a message coming in from Too Many Snipers. Wow, that is a massacre. Yeah, it really was. Esports are crazy. Hashtag Deadman Winter. Thank you for that, Too Many Snipers. Just an absolute mad scene that we just saw a moment ago. We're down to 550 players remaining. Not long left to go now until we're at the top 256. I just want to quickly touch on some of our influencers, if that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, rating them by combat stats against one another, Mika is #1 overall against all other players. MMORPG comes out #9 overall, and then Mankt is looking at #19 overall.
Number 19 in stats. That surprised me, because I think he was one of the first players actually to get max stats in the game. But I believe at that point he started to go out, go PKing, you know, get himself a few max sets, slay out the competition, and just have a fun week in general. Really, that's what he lives for. Really, the PvP aspect of the game mode.
So that works off their kind of like combat rating. We've got a list of all influencers here. Feel free to interrupt me if anything interesting does happen on the screen. I'm sure it
it's
will.
Just an absolute carnage at the moment. Hard to really see what's going on.
Left, right, and center.
Yeah, just walking around in nice little circles and trying to move forward, and just wait for that stalemate position to take place. But it looks like both teams really, they just want to, you know, get in the mix, get stuck in, get the best chance possible for their high-level players to get through.
I give a quick shout out to all the influencers that we have knowledge of that are playing at the moment. I'm going to get through this list really quickly. So that's Speedfire, Mika, MORPGRS, Voss, Ian Mary, Manked Up Mage, Fools Kembo, Bitter, DMM Freak Show, You Never Learn, Robert, Foe, Fools Justice, Boaty, Torvesta, Nate Bra, Money, Alfie Rules, C Engineer, Skill Specs, Drake C, Nightinator, Perp, Graphist, Ian Mary, and back. A lot of great people here. I believe Nightinator is actually within the audience.
Nightinator's.
So
She's the event, yeah, I saw her earlier.
Interestingly, actually, Nightinator didn't rank that far behind Racy, in terms of combat stats, so maybe would have had a good chance, but...
Might be her first time in the 1v1 finals as well, I believe.
I mean, last time, I think every time I've seen Knight,
she's screaming from the crowd. I don't think she's playing at the moment. She's saying hello.
Hello over there, Knight.
Unless she's on mobile and somehow, getting through all the competition. Absolute beast.
Getting advantage of that live action without a 5-minute delay. Back into the carnage is what's happening currently at Anacol, though.
And again, we just see players kind of going into more of a stalemate position here, but still a lot of players that are kitted out in like rune armor, and those guys, like I said before, the cannon fodder of their teams, going forward, the grunts, just trying to, get as much damage as possible, dwindle down the opponent's supplies, and oh my gosh, look, you can tell that's Fools in the middle. It must be Fools. Look at that coordination, how many chins are being thrown. If it's not Fools, I'll be terribly surprised.
They're doing a fantastic job. You can just see already 3 people died out there.
Experience, mate. It's just that's what it is. Over years and years of practice, every single weekend, going out with their clan, having fun, having a good time. But not to say that other clans haven't done this either. I mean, Cutthroat as well, being one of the other big teams that have been around for many, many years now. But they're in a new alliance. They've been struggling to work together, apparently. They played as solo clans until the final hour, and they're teaming up with a few other teams, such as Execution, as Tartar, as we mentioned before. In the middle right now, still a few players just trying to, get dropped. Oh my God, look at that stack. That guy in full Barrow's armor just gone
dropped.
in literally a second from full HP bar to nothing. And that's when those, that communication and kind of making sure you focus on one player at a time to take them out, to put the most damage possible to try and make it worthwhile. Because if you kill someone that's got loads of supplies left, then it's just, they've gone out much earlier than would have normally killed them.
We've got Shamed coming in here and saying, I have money on Gnome Child winning. Hashtag Deadman Winter. Hashtag Team Gnome Child. Well, the name definitely fits there, Shamed. I'm ashamed of that message. But thank you nonetheless. Just want to mention, if you do want to get your tweets up on screen, make sure you put the hashtag DeadmanWinter on Twitter. And if you're not, do make sure you go and follow at OSRS PvP to stay up to date with all of the latest information, including things about Deadman and our players as well.
Absolutely. And now 450 players remaining of the 256 that will go through. It's getting so close right now. I wonder how the players on stage are actually doing, how their supplies are looking. But looking from before, I believe that Fools Justice and Manx are in an absolutely fantastic position.
Remember we were talking before about the people in the middle got the advantage of having the pincer points. What happens if both teams decide to actually take on those people in the middle through those choke points? And you can see now that those...
That's what they're doing. Look at that, right in the middle. Yeah, they're getting frozen in place, can't really get past there. Interestingly as well, I actually saw within those clumps a couple of snipers, a few assassins going in close, trying to clutch out, dwindle down people's supplies again, like we said before. I've used the word dwindle like 50 million times today.
It's okay. We do it a lot here, Pure Spam.
It's just so hype and everything's going past so quickly. Looking right now, and here we go, the aggression from the northeast corner. And I don't know who this is. We can't tell, but I'm pretty sure going to assume it's Fools again.
I think they've realized.
These guys, man, they're just absolutely decimating the competition right now, and just moving through, taking out a few people at a time, and they're going to probably the Falador area is going to be the first one to go in. They're very aggressive play style. Usually not sitting back and waiting. They just go for it. And I think that aggressive stance makes people, scared to fight them really as well.
Also as well, if you're looking at it, you can clearly see that the numbers were definitely not in the favor of their opponent there. So it might have been a case of one of their callers had noticed that there was only a clump of maybe 10 people. It's like, now's our chance, let's push forward and take them out. You can see they're doing the same thing now by moving across to the other side, the bottom left-hand corner. There is a team towards the north in the top left-hand corner, but it seems as we see this all the time. They're going to rotate round. A few people are going to get stuck as they step forward into the next loading zone to figure out just how many players there are in that area. They might themselves, though, get stuck and end up perishing, but seems to have worked out quite well.
We're jumping into Boaty right now, who is looking very strong at all. He only has, 3 brews left. Switching off to the Arams potentially, try and get as much blood barrage as possible, but trying to move his clan. And here's the thing here. If these guys are just moving around in circles, they're not actually engaging combat. Adam getting stuck in, that's what you need to do, mate. Get that HP back, take out the competition, make sure you get yourself a place in that final. He's been preparing all week for this thing. He's got, pretty much max stats, pretty much maxed gear, a lot of it being donated, luckily as a stream of favoritism, but doesn't matter. If he gets to the finals, he's proved time and time again that he deserves to be there. And we're looking at the KD ratio right now. He's actually got 18 kills, only 1 death. I don't know how many of those have actually been in the final, but I assume pretty much most, if not all of the kills have been here right now. So yeah, definitely showing himself that, you know, he definitely deserves to be here as well and being a really useful tool for his team that he's alliance with.
I believe he's taken out 10 opponents during the Permadeath stage. And when you're looking at around about 1,000 players in there, it's not bad. Like 1% per player within your team. If you can get 100 people that can kill off 10, doing a pretty damn good job.
No, absolutely. And look in the middle right now. Look at that clump. Those guys can get taken out so quickly. All the Chinchombers being thrown. I believe Chins is the majority of the hits that are being seen right now. Because obviously, you just get your range up to even 80 range. You can still do so much damage. The thing with Ancient Magic is you've got to do the quest for it. You've got to get 94 magic to use Barrage. It's a lot more time invested than not everyone can do.
Yeah. And one thing that we didn't cover out here, sorry, just one ping there. 2 people just fell instantly. One person managed to survive, but I don't think it's going to last much longer. But we were talking about the combat triangle earlier. At the moment, magic defense is extremely strong within old school RuneScape. It's a thing within PvP that there's a lot of contention between it, because with Black D'hide, you can have a very high magic defense, even against someone that is wearing full max mage, using ancient magics and everything possible. So sometimes it's not actually worth it to use magic.
Oh, skill specs, level 102 combat. He's got 2 brews left. He's actually staying in this. This guy's with GG, the solo alliance. I believe Bloaty is also with him. So if skill specs goes through, I'm sure Adam will as well. And, you know, merit to him, man, to be able to stick it out this long. Only 375 players left. He's got to hold on a little bit longer. 100 players more need to fall. I don't know, man. Jay always brings out some interesting combos in the finals. I always say I want to see the full Dalrox 10 HP KO or something. But
I can't wait to see it. He's not here, unfortunately, in person. It's always a pleasure to have him around. But he has been doing some fantastic streams. If you haven't already, do check out his channel. I want to quickly update you in terms of clan sizes before this hits the final 256. So as of 1 minute ago, Tartar looked to have a force of 82 players, Blazers with 68, followed by Fools with 67.
Oh, wow.
Clanless members, it seems like 61 aren't associated to any clans. Maybe we're going to see a lot of solo players get through to the final. Then we have Lit with 49 members, Mika's team at 43, CT with 27, and EX, or Execution, at 23. I think they've picked up a number, potentially. I believe there were only about 22 before. It might be that we've managed to figure out, because they weren't logged in at 6:30. It's now, obviously, you know, 20 to 9. The time's gone past a little bit, and we've managed to pick up an extra player that's been caught on the system.
Now, respect to the clan towards the east right here, standing their ground, actually fighting back despite a lot of the members falling. But now they're trying to hightail it out of there. And the Barrows guy is going to fall very quickly. And obviously, if you actually die for Barrows at this stage of the game, you can pick up that gear, the best in-slot gear pretty much, in the tournament available right now. It doesn't get broken. You can wield it and take it into the final with you. So, you know, taking part in this multi-part right now and, you know, getting as best gear you possibly can is definitely a very wise strategy to do.
Yeah, for sure. You want to be able to, obviously, and if you haven't got it, pick it up, because it's there. It's not broken like it is in a normal game. There's a lot of things like that are a bit different. We're going to have a look at Fool's Justice now, I believe. Not listening to the audio, though, so we'll try and talk about here.
Restores left, so obviously he's got bruise, but he's being sniped by the guy with the... Oh, no, he's being speared
out
into the... No way.
No, this can't happen.
He's trying to drop his items, I think. It's bruised for other people, but he's being sniped, and I think now he's going to get 1 hit. No way.
Fool's Justice got pushed out.
He was sniped by the Vesta Spear, was that?
Wow.
The first one to fall. Who could have predicted that then? Fool's Justice putting up a great fight for his team. That is very unfortunate. We talked about earlier about snipers, you know, going for certain players, and Justice was the first one to go and get picked off.
I hate to say it because I don't like being wrong, but it seems like I was, and Archie was right. He literally got targeted out. I'm going to be very interested to hear from Fool's Justice when this ends in terms of a little interview and how that came about. Where was his team? Why wasn't anyone there to defend him?
And he only just didn't make it into the final view. So a few more seconds, if it would have lasted, he would have been completely okay. But obviously, the Spartan Warriors, I believe. We're going to talk about that strategy in a little bit, before the 1v1 starts. There's a little strategy that one of the teams told me about. I believe it was GG. They were going for certain players like that, with that spear mechanic, and get them pushed out into the fog. When you hit into the fog, you get 1 hit KO'd.
Yep,
so
that
just
Dragon
very
Spear.
unfortunate.
What a fantastic tactic that was.
I know, right?
Who would have thought
Really
that in
clever.
that moment that people would save their special attacks, bring a Dragon Spear, and then coordinate to take out one of the clan members' most fed players.
Yeah, that is a very, very unfortunate for Fools, of course, giving him the Suffering, giving him the DFS, the Armadillo, the ACB. He had so much gear, and he had max stats as well. But he's here, he's having a good weekend. We'll still celebrate later, and he's just happy to be here, I think, and representing Fools. Great to have him on the stage. He's put up a really good show as well.
Unfortunately, we wouldn't be able to see him, but yeah. Having a look at Mank now. So we're looking to avoid any confusion, if you guys are wondering why is no one left back at Falador, it's because we take the top 1 to 8 from each area. So we've taken 1 to 8. We're from Falador already, but we're now waiting for these two teams to kind of like finish up. Manked is...
He's an absolute machine. He's just going straight in for it, you know, leading his force. One of the most stacked players of his team, making it into the 1v1s.
Yeah,
He's got a very good shot.
look at how many brews he has. He's still got a Phoenix necklace. He has restores. He's not bothered.
There's another 40 players that need to fall here. Obviously, we saw before, in the middle, there are a lot that are just sitting there, haven't been targeted. Really smart strategy. I believe it was Lit that did that last time, and potentially could be sitting there again. But Manked right now, you know, leading his team into victory, potentially, to get through to the final 1v1 stage. And he is looking real strong. Listening to the symphonies in his headset, you know, a few orchestral pieces, I believe, is what he said at the All-Stars to make him sure his nerves are calmed.
I think he said that he's going to be streaming, so he's going to have to listen to normie music. So I wonder whether he's going to kind of like go against the trend and play what's best for his
he is so focused right now. We have a tweet coming in from Made It Boom. Holy, that Infernal Cape in the chest. Poggers. Yes, you can get items in the chest, but I believe that Infernal Cape is probably long gone at this point.
I believe so, and it's probably the only time that you can get an Infernal Cape without completing the Inferno before you know, getting smacked down by the old J-Mod hammer.
And here we go again, the team with Mank just going round, trying to pick off a few of these stragglers. You know, if you take them down with just one extra player, they can't make it 1 versus 1. Yeah.
The Stranglers? Stragglers.
Stragglers, I said, didn't I?
I thought you said Stranglers. I was like, wow, this is a very violent video game, Kebos fam. Then again, we are throwing animals and exploding them and sucking people's blood out of them and also smacking them with bolts and weapons. So
looking into the middle again, mate, look, there's so many people in that team that are just kitted out in absolute max gear and aren't being targeted whatsoever. I'm really surprised they've gotten away with that. But at the same time, is it worth risking your whole clan running in, getting through that little entrance to the middle? I don't think it's really worth risking it, is it? Because you could just all wipe out in just a second.
I really want to find out more info from clans when I get a moment and just ask them what goes through their mind when they're talking in terms of communications. There's a lot of time at points where people are hesitant to talk to me before because of being you know, affiliated with Jagex. Now that that's not the case, come on guys, give me all the info I need it. We have had information to say that Boti and Torvesta have both made it through.
Oh wow, congratulations to him then. He was going with GG, the Solo Alliance.
Foe as well.
Wow, Foe!
Foe has made it through.
No way.
So I'm sure that we'll be seeing on a YouTube video coming near you
I have
from
something to say about Foe actually. Foe, I can say it now, he changed his name.
Sorry. Skill Specs made it through.
No way! Congratulations
102.
to him, man. I'm sure a lot of people are happy at home to hear that one. And maybe if Torvesta has as well. Did you say Torvesta made it?
Torvesta
versus
Skill Specs.
I know, right? That'd be the most epic finale to finish off with.
Here we go.
Foe actually, he changed his name in-game to the Finnish word for Iron Fox. And he actually intercepted, went into the clan, Fools, and was able to, you know, go inside them and actually get through to the finals. He's got Vengeance. He's got absolutely max stats as well. So he's got a really good chance to really make it quite far.
He really has, and he did pretty good as well in All-Stars, and a lot of people thought that he wasn't going to be able to. So interesting to see how that pulls out. Did you say that he infiltrated Fools, or was he actually playing alongside them?
I think he's playing alongside them, but obviously no one really
I was
knew it
going to
was
say,
him.
if he managed to learn Finnish within like the space of a few days and was in with the TS,
I think he was tweeting out earlier actually that he couldn't manage to find the what's it called, a Rosetta Stone kind of guide to learning Finnish. Wasn't one available for him, unfortunately.
Oh dear.
But maybe next time, and he must be so happy with that one as well. Now a bit of a stalemate taking place. Only 20 players need to die right now in this finale to make it through to the 1 versus 1 final. And like we saw before, if someone steps out of this quadrant, they get one hit by the fog. I believe the fog will start to move in slowly as well and start to consume these players too if it drags on a little bit too long. But I imagine only 20 players left. It's probably going to happen quite quickly.
It's probably at the point now, I'd imagine, that clan members are saying, okay, who are our weakest players left? Let's get rid of them because they want to take through their strongest.
You don't want to make a mistake here because if you do, I mean, it's so close. Just like you saw with Justice, making it just a few members left, and he could have got through to the 1v1 finals.
He got Torvested. Basically.
Literally, yeah, through the cave.
Yeah, we've got Paige Crawley 3 coming in from Twitter. Date night, and we are watching the final. Hashtag Deadman Winter. That
relationship goals.
Yeah,
right
my kind of date. Pretty decent.
You want to watch it back later, Ben? At the hotel.
Well,
Offer you can't reviews. We have 30 seconds until the fog is going to start closing on these players, at which point they're going to be forced to, you know, engage in combat. Otherwise, it's going to be just a matter of who has the most supplies left over. And in the middle right now, we see a few players actually trying to take out the competition. What we normally see here as well is actually, you know, the lower level players within the teams being sacrificed.
Oh, they're now actually killing their own team members. So
that's
you see
what I mean, yeah,
running forward. Maybe he doesn't want to die though, so he's valiantly leaving his Protect from Prayer up, eating all of his food, but they are having to take out their weakest.
Or maybe this is some of the alliances that have been formed already, and there's a bit of, you know, within the alliance, people are like, oh, actually, I don't like you anymore. You've only got a few players left. You're like, take these guys off.
I helped you till now, but you're the fool, for I am going through.
Anyway, in the middle right now, still that clan just being untouched, and they must have full supplies. They've got the best chance of, surviving throughout this fog. The fog is going to start hitting low amounts, but now, towards the east, towards the south, the team at the northwest are being pinched at the moment and just trying to stay alive as long as possible. We see a CT name there, which I wonder if it's actually CT or someone trying to pretend to be CT. I'm not too sure on that one, but again, just running around, trying to make sure no stragglers get left behind. But if they do get left behind, they're going to get picked off so quickly. And just a waiting game right now to see who's going to make it through.
We must only have at least 2, 3, maybe 4 people that are waiting to go off. The number, we've definitely seen people die before that number has been updated, so we do have to give it a few seconds. I'm pretty sure, though, within, the next minute or so, we're going to be heading over. It looks like this is a person who has been selected for sacrifice.
And
hopefully it was a worthy.
Oh,
it's Robert.
Now. Is that Robert?
Is it Robert?
No! I think Robert's
no.
He's fine. He's
Okay.
alive still. His inventory is looking somewhat decent
Robert's
as well.
just gone underneath him, maybe trying to snipe all that last bits of food.
Yeah, but he's going to get hit if he's not careful, get frozen in place, and the other team's going to snipe him. But no, Robert's out of there in good time.
I think they're picking off their own team members at this point.
So?
Trying to just force it through. It must be, because no teams are kind of coming to one another. However, I'm a little bit interested as to why they bother wasting time eating food. I mean, it's just going to be lost.
Here is the fog slowly hitting fives and taking these players down. Any supplies they have left right now, this is when you want to get stuck in, be able to do damage and eat food at the same time.
Yeah. I mean, someone just fell there. He didn't
have
nothing left. And just like that, there was 2 people.
You were so close, yet so far. Bless
Sorry,
him. There we go.
Jake.
That means 2 5-6 players have made it through to the 1v1 finals, and very shortly we're going to witness that. That was an absolutely fantastic and stellar performance by all the clans.
Really was.
In the multi-phase.
I have to say that is safely the most action-packed final that we've ever had so far.
Oh, absolutely.
In terms of complete decimation. Clans from each side. My favorite moment, I reckoned, was the point where the 2 teams at the Falador statue were fighting one another. One team coming in from the gate. What's so funny?
Sorry, I was looking at Curtis's face. He's just smiling and making a little face. He must be so over the moon of getting through to the 1v1 final again. Mankton Bertie joining him, of course. Sorry, continue.
No, he does definitely look very happy. But I was just saying, back to my point of the most favorite moment, we're at the Falador gate, Falador statue. Those 2 teams come in, but next thing you know, the little squad pull up from the south up towards
to Fools. I think it was defending
to Fools, and it's just instant pinch.
Yeah, I think if it wasn't for that, then potentially Justice might have just managed to make it through. But they were feeling, very
it's just the way the
confident
cookie crumbles at the end of the day.
They were just feeling very confident trying to defend that position, having that multi-experience and such. But, I mean, we have so many content creators, like you said before. Obviously, the 2-5-6 finale is proving very, very positive for a lot of players. And, again, I do feel bad for Justice, but I think a few Fools members would have made it through. We'll hopefully, get a bunch of information sent over to us in terms of which teams have made it through, how many of each have done so.
Well, I'll keep an eye on that as and when we can. But, wow, I don't really know what to say about that. What was your favourite moment?
My favourite moment? To be honest, man, towards the end, it's pretty hard to see what's going on. But I think not my favourite moment, but the most surprising moment was, like I said before, Justice falling just short. And that D-Spear mechanic was amazing. Now, we're talking about one of the mechanics that we talked about but by ourselves before this tournament started. And one of the clans called GG told me they had the Vesta Spear squad. So the Vesta Spear is a PvP weapon that when you use a special attack, it rebounds damage dealt to you on players around you. So maybe that's why a lot of the Fools members fell straight away. They had a bit of an assassination squad that infiltrated into the opponent's forces, put up the special attack, and then realistically they just suicided. They focused by their own team, which did more damage around them, and we didn't get to see it pan out as we thought we would because there was just so much carnage and just too much going on at once.
But I mean, it must have worked because we saw at the end Fools Justice being speared out. Big props to the Spartan squad if they managed to pull off that incredible move. It's almost as if we're back in the medieval times and strategy is becoming a real thing. You can clearly see there are parts of strategy, though, with the coordination and communication that teams have and the placements and everything like that. When they're all moving in, they're moving in together. Fools Justice with his head down. Probably sending a message over to his mum saying, really sorry I didn't make it. Well, hopefully, though, it's not over for Fools.
Nah, man. I mean, we've seen them come through and, take it regardless. Now, I don't know if Kembo's in the final as well. He's one of their strongest PKs as well, taking a few tournaments that aren't officially organised by the players themselves. He's also got max gear, and there's a few other players that do. I think that actually Fools are one of the only teams that really attempted a lot of God Wars Dungeon. They have 4 or 5 ACBs, several Armadillo sets as well in their hands, best in slot gear, by a long mark as well compared to Barrows.
That's a lot of defense as well for almost all styles, just sitting in Armadillo.
Yeah. And if any Blazer members as well made it through, or the Alliance rather of ODT, them and Fools both were the only teams actually to make sure they managed to do Monkey Madness 2. So I believe that Mankt actually might be the only person on stage that has a Ring of Suffering, which automatically gives him like a 3 or 4 food advantage because of how much the recoil does.
It's just like that.
It's huge, man.
Pretty damning advantage indeed. Let's have a quick look at some of the things that happened in the build-up to the 1v1s, which we're going to be heading into in a moment's time.
Oh, remember that that's my favourite moment right there, Ben, when you asked me second
Only
ago.
Nightmare Zone. Oh, that's us.
Oh,
whoa, that's
oh,
me.
You're looking absolutely daft.
All right, I don't know what I was
Ben,
doing with my arms. I was trying to fly or something, but hey,
this was the squad, GG, I believe, and Tartar, Execution. These guys, you know, absolute mercenaries, so many of them going in, but they were actually attacking the Anakal, and I believe a lot of them actually made it through as well. I think, I'm going to say this, I've said it quite a few times now, but I think every single team has quite a lot of members in the finale. Again, we should get that information fed to us at some point soon. That guy there, Cole Bean, bless him, almost getting through as well, trying to snipe that item, but once you get stuck in that maze, you can't really get out as a 1-by-1 entrance. And now, we said before, Fools were defending, we believe, at the Falador, but not able to get justice through. Anakal, when this happened, like, we just couldn't, had no clue what was going on. Chinchompers flying left and right, barrages hitting, blood barrages going off as well to heal themselves. And here, right now, I thought, yeah, Fools, they're looking so strong. Why would you show that replay? Bless. But then we got pinched, as you said before, Ben. There wasn't really much they could do. They had to like completely change their strategy and maybe taken by surprise a little bit. When Justice did fall, just before the final 256 were taken from his area, the 5-128 rather, he was literally a mere matter of seconds before making it through, and that's really unfortunate for him. Same with goes to the guy in the middle right there with the dragon skirt, Jake. Bless him.
Yeah, unfortunate. It really interesting. Just watching the replay just reminded me of how ridiculous the build-up to this 1v1 has been already.
Yeah.
But it's not over, ladies and gentlemen, because we will be moving into the 1v1 stage.
This is only half the fight.
Yeah, so I'll talk to you a little bit about how that's going to work in just a moment. I do have some updated stats, so apologies, I'm going to have to look down at the screen to read this out. But hopefully, you know, that's not too much of a problem for you. So as of around about 3 minutes ago, it looks like heading into the 1v1 stage, the final 256 is made up of 47 Blazers members.
Oh, wow.
46 Tartar members, 36 clanless, so just solo dudes out there.
Really?
Or dudettes. It's 2018.
Fair play.
Mika and his team,
We think
34.
it's lit, but we're not too sure right now.
Potentially. Fools going in with 32 members, so still a good chance.
That's really good.
I might still be right, but it won't be Fool's Justice. It will be his team. We'll see. We then have Lit with 30 members, Executioner fell down to 15, and Cutthroat with just 12.
Oh, wow. So they had a massive alliance, Cutthroat, Tartar, and Execution. Clearly, it didn't pan out the way they thought it would.
Okay, in terms of content creators that have also made it through, here we go. There's a pretty big list, probably the biggest that we've ever seen. We've got Manged Up Mage, obviously, as you can see on the stage. He did not fall. Our Robert made it through.
Fantastic.
Nate Bra has made it through as well. We've got Alfie Rules, C Engineer, Iomiri, Fool's Kembo.
Yes, he is a favourite for
Keep
sure.
an eye
My
out for
favourite
Fool's
right now
Kembo.
to win, apart from Manked, of course.
Foe also went through, MMORPG-RS, Deadman Mode
Wow.
Freak Show,
Previous winner.
Torvesta, Skill Specs, and Boaty.
Wow, that is an absolute all-star lineup. I cannot wait to see who takes the fights. And Adam here has been actually participating all day today, just chilling, streaming, getting comfortable.
Yep.
We did the All-Stars event a couple of weeks ago. I was also competing in it. And I tell you, having to run on and off the stage in between fights. Every time you get back on stage, the nerves run through you again, the adrenaline hits you. But he's cool, calm, collected, like I said before. He's just been chilling all day. And just this is where he's really in his element. He doesn't get spooked. He's been on stage before many times. Same goes with Manked and Curtis as well. All three of them have just got the same pretty much chance to get as far as they possibly can. And Curtis has improved so much as well. I don't know which team he's actually with today, because you mentioned he's with a team with Mika and there's Lit as well. Don't know if Mika's left Lit or if they're together anymore. But I was watching PK earlier as well, getting warmed up again, feeling really confident too. Now, Manked, another favourite, he went away from the All-Stars tournament the other week, made himself $20,000, and just the way that he concentrates, gets into the zone.
15-0? Does that ring any
15-0.
bells?
I mean, it might be 22-0 if he wins 7 fights consecutively in this finale.
I'll have to wait and
which,
see.
if you want to talk about now, actually, how this finale is going to work.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd be more than happy to. So, we're going to be going into 1v1 section. Each fight is going to be played one player against another. Everyone had their supplies from what happened just a moment ago. However, they do have 5 minutes to bank, which is why we're currently in the position of talking to you wonderful people at home and in the audience. In that time, they're going to be able to take out anything that they want. So a thing that I believe Archie touched on at the start, maybe even yourself, or it might have even been me at this point, who knows, one of us said it though, is that a lot of people have kept their really good equipment in the bank.
Yeah.
So they have this opportunity now to pull that out, put together their best setups. They're going to have a very rough idea of who they're going to be going up against in the future, but they also know their opponent as well. So if they're aware of them by name, they might be able to put together a good setup, but this is the only opportunity that they're going to get to be able to bank.
Yep.
They can take out whatever food, whatever supplies they want for this first fight. So this first fight is entirely down to them. Nothing else about it. It's just them and what they pull out. As we progress through, obviously they're going to diminish those supplies and they're going to need to restock. However, restocking is not going to be done through a bank. It's going to be done automatically by the system.
Yep.
So they're going to be given a set amount of food, a set amount of potions, so these fights can't go on any longer than if everyone's just stacking like 20 Sourdough and Brews, which are a potion that can heal you for amount of HP plus a little bit more based on your, I think it's based off your HP level.
Yeah, based on HP level. 92 it heals you, I think, 16 per dose. So you're looking at 64 per inventory slot, as opposed to like a shark that heals 20.
Yeah, it's a
huge
big difference, and it can make the fights just last that little bit longer. If the fights do get to a point where it seems like we've hit a bit of a stalemate and there isn't any damage being dished out, or people are trying to like delay or stall, then fog is going to start coming in. That's going to happen regardless. So I believe it's about 3 minutes into the fight, which is typically how long each fight should last.
Yep.
That fog's going to come through and slowly start building up, dealing more and more damage, just to ensure that we're not sitting there for 25 minutes watching two people dance.
Yeah, and another thing to mention as well is, of course, in this 1v1 finale, if you are able to defeat your opponent in one of the stages, you get all of their loot. So let's say you do find someone that's an absolute titan who's geared up in the best gear possible, and you manage to somehow get a lucky KO, or you're just an absolutely amazingly skilled PKer and outmatch him. If you get his items, that can give you just a huge advantage going through towards the finals right now. But a lot of these players have, like we said before with Justice, has got max gear in slot. Manked as well has got absolutely insane gear. Boaty.
Into just the content creators, especially that have gone through there, if that kind of caliber of people have managed to get through, imagine what is out there in the clan. More skilled and different players.
Yeah, and the majority of people are going to be at least 110 towards 120 combat, and so they're going to utilize their in-game stats to their best advantage. We're going to see tri-breeding in this tournament. So you have overhead prayers as well. You have mage, melee, and range, as we touched upon before. So it's always a little bit of a game of chance. Was a game of kind of like trying to make sure your opponent prays the wrong thing and dupe them out, convince them to do the wrong thing, and hopefully maximize your damage output whilst also preventing your opponent from doing much damage on you, getting the right gear setups on, getting the best defensive gear depending on what attack style your opponent's using, and the best offensive and overhead prayers depending on what you're using. So it's going to be really interesting, man.
Especially, and I mean, a game that comes down to, you know, pretty much RNG at times, but you can help offset that by doing exactly what Pure Spam mentioned, so it's definitely vital to do that. Seems like we've got the audience wonderfully shouting the countdown for us. Seems like we've got 2 seconds long until we go into the 1v1 stage of the Deadman Winter 18 tournament. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the perfect time for me to remind you, if you haven't already, do feel free to follow at OldSchoolRS PvP. Stay up to date. Boaty just hit a 60 with VLS poke.
What a start,
what an absolute
buddy.
legend. Also, hashtag Deadman Winter if you want to get in touch with us.
And retaliated by Slay with a little VLS. But another stab from Adam, hitting a 0, unfortunately. Now, the VLS has 4 special attacks, 25% for each one. And the VLS itself actually hits on 25% defense bonus of your opponent, so it can hit really accurately, even through the prayer. All the prayer does is it reduces damage by 40%, so still, if you get a big hit, you're still going to hit pretty big as well. Adam, obviously, this is his element. He's working really well here. Looking at inventory setups as well.
I was just about to say, I've just noticed, these guys have very similar gear.
Yeah, definitely.
However, I believe that Boaty's gone for a different tank leg. He doesn't have a DFS, so he doesn't have as much defense for Slay for Juggies.
And he's got like five different switches too.
Hold on, though. Boaty has a range potion, Slay for Juggies doesn't.
No, he forgot his range pot. That is huge. I mean, Slay for Juggies has got the DFS, like you said before, best tank shield pretty much in this tournament. Well, it is the best tank shield in this tournament right now. He's also got the ACB, which I believe only 1 Tartar member got, and I think 4 or 5 Fools members. So we can probably assume it's either Fools.
Juggies is from Fools. I've just had information to come
there
through,
we go. We have a Fools member versus Adam. This is not the fight you wanted for the first round. Definitely a difficult one, but if you can stay calm, and you can definitely get those big specs off. Right now, looking at inventory supplies, it's going to be a long fight. Obviously, full inventory of brews, each one healing 16 HP per dose. That's 64 hit points per potion. I would say one thing, and that is that this guy from Fools, he has definitely the favorable setup. He's got less switches, so he's got himself a little bit more extra food. But like I said before, that range potion is so important, but getting these step-ons right now, and a barrage utilizing a 20-second freeze. You get that freeze, you can step on, your opponent can't see what you're wielding, what you're praying, all that kind of stuff, so it gives you a significant advantage. We'll jump over to Curtis now as well, Ben, over to you as well.
Yeah, so looking over in a moment when we can see it. For now, we'll just carry on looking at Boaty and Juggies, but we will move over to MMORPG very shortly. Here we go. Thank you very much for that, a wonderful cameraman. Really appreciate it. It looks like this N5D dude has got Guthans.
Guffin Skirt, not the full...
Is that
wait.
Vestus Spear?
I think it's a Vestus Spear. Yes, a Vestus Spear. The special attack doesn't really work in these 1v1 situations, but it's still a very hard-hitting, powerful weapon to use.
Yeah,
but is there any match for Curtis's
I don't
hammer?
think it's going to matter. Yeah, looking at Curtis here, MMORPG.
This is warm-up, man.
He's got like 20 combat levels on him, nearly 16. If I was to wait, no, 16 levels. It seems like that.
Yep,
if I do my
16
math.
levels.
Cool. We got there eventually.
He's much stronger than his opponent, and he's absolutely making every second
Look at
count.
the supply difference here.
Yeah,
MMORPG did a fantastic job in All-Stars. He's had a lot of experience PKing now with all of the Deadman modes that he's done. Doesn't PK very much during the tournament, if at all. He just focuses on getting his stats, and you can see that it's paid off. This dude is maxed apart from prayer.
This is the luck of the draw, really. You get yourself a target like this in the first fight, and you're pretty happy. I'm guessing Boaty must be thinking right now, how have I got given an absolute, maniac from Fools, got all this gear that's possible to
And MMORPGs, they're like, oh, this is pretty good for me.
I wonder as well if his opponent's got a suffering, because I know that Fools did have quite a few sufferings. Oh, look at those fakies from his opponent hitting a 33 VLS. Now, VLS is incredibly accurate. It's actually more accurate than a God Sword, I'm pretty sure, as well as being, I think, 1 tick faster. So it's a little bit faster, a little bit slower than a whip, but it can deal huge amounts of DPS. Now, that freeze being caught for Adam. Very unfortunate there.